I guess this is the time that I talk about how my neighbor tried to light my house on fire. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Therapeutic Mentality YouTube channel. Today, guys, we're going to be talking about forgiveness and just my story with forgiveness. In middle school, my neighbor was always very close with my family, and we were really close with him and his wife, and we'd always go over for barbecues and just having a good time during the summer. I'm still not sure exactly what happened, but he just kind of went off the deep end, and him and his wife got divorced. He started having alcohol issues, which actually led to where my story really begins. I'm not exactly sure on the date, but like I said before, he had alcohol issues, and he would blast music really loud at night and sometimes do weird stuff at night, like mowing his lawn at like midnight. And obviously, as like a middle schooler and my older sister being in high school, we would have school the next day, so we had to be up early, and having that sound at night obviously didn't help us sleep. So my parents weren't really exactly having that, and they were fed up, and they called the police. So the next morning, my neighbor had thrown eggs on our car. Obviously, we didn't have the proof of this because we didn't have cameras or anything set up, but we just knew, you know what I mean? That there was nobody else on the street that would do it, and it couldn't have been just happenstance that we would have called the police on him that night and then the next morning something happened to our cars. From there on out, I think the whole environment with my neighbor and my family just became really, really toxic. It was just a recurring theme with him blasting music at night and then us calling the police, and something else would happen to our cars, whether that be paint thrown on our cars, our tires slashed. It was just a lot. On top of this, he was very racist to my family and I. I remember trying to play basketball outside, and he would call me the N-word and like yell at me. And during this time, I just felt so low and inferior to him. I was just like scared to go outside. As a kid, I would play outside in my backyard a lot, and I'd have like a soccer ball, kickball, all that kind of stuff. And it was really scary when one of those balls went into his yard, because I was terrified to knock on the door. My parents didn't really want me over there, so I would have to sneak into his yard by climbing his fence or opening the gate to get a ball. And sometimes he would look at me, and honestly, I can't even describe how scared I was. It was like a big boulder in my chest. I couldn't even breathe. I can't even remember how long all of this went on for, because I don't know, I guess my brain has just kind of blocked it off from me just because of how traumatic it was, and my brain is just subconsciously protecting me from it. I don't know. Even talking about this right now is difficult because I've been kind of out of it these past few days, just in terms of connecting with myself, and I've kind of been dreading talking about this on video. And I think that's my brain's way of telling me, oh, you don't want to open that door, because this was a difficult time in my life. But here I am, doors open, wide open, I got the key. So all of this kind of led up to one dramatic moment. I'm not sure of the date. I can't even, it's hard for me to put the pieces together exactly. But my dad always kind of struggled with sleeping because he was always scared for my sister and I at night because of my neighbor. So one night, it was really early in the morning, and my dad was struggling to sleep again. He heard these bags like thrown towards our house, and in the garden as well, one of them near our car. And what was in these bags was, I'm not entirely sure exactly, but it was flammable. But so luckily the bags didn't go off they didn't work successfully. And like I said, luckily my dad woke up in time to know that this was happening, and it was terrifying. It seemed like a movie. So my mom comes running into my room. She's shaking me to get up. I remember looking at the clock and I'm like, wow, it's really early. What is happening? And I remember being really scared. I remember the look on her face. She was terrified for me, and I could tell just how scary it was for her. So I ended up being escorted by the SWAT team, my whole family and I, and we were walked to the end of our street because my neighbor had a gun in his house. He wasn't coming out of his house at all. The SWAT team was trying to get into his house, and the whole scene just seemed like a movie. And I can't even exactly describe it. It was just really, really scary and surreal. And I remember that day, we went to my sister's friend's house, because we couldn't be at our own house that day. We just spent the entire day there, and just how still everything felt. I can't even describe it. It's something I wouldn't wish upon anyone, especially at a young age. I also had a lot of dreams about my neighbor, where he was chasing me, trying to kill me, calling me the N-word. I still have those dreams to this day. It's something I can't even describe. I still have a lot of fear of him and for my younger self to this day. So I guess kind of backtracking, he wasn't arrested for anything that he did. We didn't exactly have proof, because we didn't have cameras or anything. He did end up being arrested, but it was for a DWI and violating probation. He should really be behind bars, but that's just how it goes. The thing is, I still see him. My whole family still sees him. He rides his bike around our house. Do you know how terrifying that is? I would, after this event, like in middle school, I would have nightmares like I said before, I had nightmares about him trying to do something to me or my family again, and I would cry to my parents. I don't even know. It's just so suppressed in my brain. I can't remember if I just did that to myself or that was to my parents as well. The other thing, I can't even put into words how terrified I am when I see his face, or even imagining it in my head. When I run on the bike trail, every old man that I see, I imagine it's him. And when that happens, I freeze up inside, and I just feel so cold within. And it just brings me back right to that place on that night when I realized my life could have been over. And that's difficult. But I still see him on the bike trail near my house, because I run on that bike trail, and it's almost like no matter where I go, I'll always have him with me, whether that be physically or just in a traumatic state in my brain. I guess it's in its own way, this is sort of releasing for me, even though this is a story about my journey with forgiveness to try to help you guys with your forgiveness. But after all of this happened, I realized that holding on to this hatred towards him wasn't doing me any favors. It's not that I'm justifying his actions or saying that what he did was okay. That by no means is okay, or nobody should have to go through that. I guess in a way he's been holding me back from living my life to the fullest. And I guess I've realized that holding a grudge hurts me. And no matter how much hatred or how much resentment I can have for him for what he did to myself and my family, it's not going to fix anything. And if anything, he'd want me to still be angry about it. He'd want me to still not have my life back on track from this. The way I'd like to view it is, if it wasn't for this low point in my life, I wouldn't have been so grateful for the great things in my life that I have today. And even with everything that's happened, it's not going to allow me to put my life on standstill for him. And I think I owe it to myself to keep going, because the things that happen to us, the things that people say about us, the things that people do to us, it says more about them than it does us. And we don't deserve to be treated this way. We deserve so much better. We don't deserve to have this anger towards them. We deserve to be living a fulfilling life. And when we have this resentment for others, for what they did or what they've said about us, it just allows them to take a place in our life that they don't rightfully own. We deserve to own our life, not them. I don't know if my parents or my sister will agree with me on this, but I can't allow him to own my life anymore. And I deserve so much more than to have this anger for him. If you guys haven't watched my mental health story YouTube video, I think it was like 2 videos ago, I'll link it in the description of this video. It'll kind of just tie everything together on where I was with my mental health journey at this time. And obviously this whole thing was kind of really difficult for me to be self-accepting of myself, and I've grown to take this whole situation as an opportunity to look at it for growth, and realize that if I hadn't gone through this, I wouldn't have realized how much I have to be accepting of myself when others in the world aren't accepting of me. And realizing that self-acceptance comes from within. And realizing that no matter what people say and do to you, it says more about them than it does you. And that we have to be accepting of what they've said about us or done to us as us being deserving of it. Just because something's happened or something's been said to us doesn't mean that we're deserving of this behavior. And it's not true. We all deserve love. We all deserve to be living our life to the fullest. And sometimes holding a grudge can stop us from doing that. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. This is kind of a crazy experience, I know, so sorry for kind of putting that onto you. But if you, like I said before, check out my other video, so this kind of ties the whole story together. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Take care.